recognize what you brought forward with regard to security cameras. However,
You recognized it so much you crossed it out.
what
They were excited.
what we do believe is that there is a diminished expectation of privacy in public school workplaces, right? Classrooms being open to students and administrators and parents, they're not typically seen as private areas or private spaces. And so we disagree that there should be an expectation of privacy that would shield our employees from the use of security cameras in any of our environments. However, we do recognize that this is a sensitive issue. And you know, we have, if you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, proposed a policy that related to use of security cameras. Wallace Knight, who's our director of policy, if you guys know. Wallace, do you mind speaking to that and what that was about at the time?
Right. So a couple of years ago, 2022, I believe the district proposed some language related to security cameras in class. At that time, the legislature started a pilot program in Broward County, and it's actually in statute. It is 1003.574.
Say it again slower, sorry.
1003.574. And it was beginning with the 2021-2022 school year. The video cameras in public school classrooms pilot program was created for a period of 3 years. The legislature at that time identified too in that language the purpose and the reason for going through that 3-year period of the pilot program. So the district's position right now with the cameras, we understand that this policy has been in flux. That's the reason why it was in flux. For that particular reason, that pilot program was about putting cameras in self-contained classrooms because of some issues within those classrooms. So we would still like to take more time and allow the board to consider creating a policy related to those security cameras that mirrors some of the language that was included in the statute for that pilot program as well.
The board has indicated through our executive sessions that they support the idea of looking at this and potentially bringing forward another policy sometime soon. And then ultimately, you know, that through the public comment period that the LCTA, members of the LCTA would have an opportunity to provide their input on the creation of that policy.
Right. And to add to what Brett was saying as well, we understand and we can still continue to communicate and talk about those things, such as understanding that, you know, the cameras being evaluated without someone's knowledge or consent. We understand that those things are true concerns, and language addressing those things can be addressed.
Is it possible intermediate solution just to emphasize the discipline for recording inappropriately as opposed to kind of this language?
Well, I mean, taking a look at it, I mean, it just says employees will be notified before a camera comes in. Apparently that's too much to ask for. No covert, hidden, or unannounced cameras. That's too much to ask for. Video cameras, recording equipment that's not placed in view of restrooms and other areas. Too much to ask for. You know, I guess my concern is it seems like, and this is not what's necessarily happening, but I just want perceptions wise, okay, that the district wants us not to have the right to negotiate things that are of working conditions and that we should go through district policy instead. So what's the point of a contract? Which should then all just be policy, right? So if our purpose here is to negotiate language within the contract that is reasonable, it seems reasonable to then have some reasonable language that we can agree with. Maybe not everything, but just not cameras at restrooms, not like, you know, a notice on the wall, you are under surveillance right now, things like that. That doesn't seem like too much to ask for. And the reason that I caution the fact of let's go through policy, and this is not to say that this will be what happens, but we've already been down this road once before, 2022, and there was no policy that was passed. So now there is nothing governing cameras in Leon County schools right now. And in lieu of that, we would like to negotiate reasonable camera language.
Right. And if I could respond to that, again, the legislature thought that this was a nuanced situation as well. And that is why they created the 3-year pilot program to test that out in Broward County. We understand completely the concerns and some of the points that you just mentioned, the private spaces such as the restrooms. Those things are addressed in the language that was proposed in the statute. So I think, you know, with time, and now that that pilot program has concluded, there may be some additional directions that we get from the legislature as a way to move forward. And taking our time with that, as the legislature did, I think it would be the best approach for the district as well.
And your comments related to wanting to have language, we hear you. And I think that what the board is hearing, what the board wants to do is to say, okay, we don't really even know what our approach is right now as it relates to this. So let us gather those facts in the form of a policy, and then we'll negotiate that.
Yeah, but we don't.
We're not going to do it piecemeal.
This isn't piecemeal. This is us right here, right now.
There's definitely certain aspects. So if we went through this thing, there's certain aspects that we could agree to. There's a lot that we couldn't.
And so the counter should include the things that you can agree to. so that we are finding some
And
common
what I'm
ground.
telling you, I understand your perspective on what you think our counter should.
No, I'm not
contain.
saying that you said.
What
I
I'm,
disagree.
what I'm saying is
Me.
that, what I'm saying is that we want to make sure that we understand the totality of the circumstances before we put forth any proposed information or.
So if somebody's assaulting me, I have to wait for someone else to go through a pilot program and come up with a policy or a state statute about not being assaulted when we really know that you shouldn't be assaulted. No one should have to be. And we could make that language in that particular case. But we're not going to because of the other stuff. I just perspective. I'm not saying what you should do. That is your choice. I'm just saying that in context of the timelines and things, there is a solution that's much closer